Hey everyone. All right, so in this lesson today, we're going to focus on literal equations, which are just equations that are mostly expressed as variables. What we're going to be doing here is we're going to be picking a specific variable and isolating it in order to pretty much just get it by itself and solve for it. Okay, so here's an example of a literal equation. Okay, so we have S equals D divided by T, which is speed equals distance divided by time. Okay, so let's just say we wanted to solve this equation for, say, distance. So I want to get the D in this equation by itself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to treat D as if it was what I was solving for. So like if it was, if we were trying to find X equals some number, we're trying to find D equals something. So we're trying to get D isolated by itself on the same side of the equal sign and then everything else out of the way. So what I have here, I have D divided by T. So if I want to get this T out of the way, because I don't want that on that side, what I'm going to do is multiply both sides by T. Okay, so what that does is that cancels out on the right side, and we get D equals, and now it's S times T. And that would be solving this literal equation for, say, D. Okay, so what you're doing is you're using inverse operations, just like when you're solving a regular equation, to try to get a variable by itself. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Okay, so here's a couple more. Volume equals length times width times height. And then we also have the perimeter, which equals to 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Okay, so in the first one, I'm looking to solve for W, or the width. So I want to get W by itself. I want to move everything that's not W on this side to the other side. Okay. Now we know in this one, it's length times width times height. So they're all being multiplied. So the way to get rid of what I don't want is to divide by it. So the only thing I want to keep here is W. I want to get rid of the length and the height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide length and height to cancel these out. And what I do to one side, because an equation, I have to also do to the other side. So I'm going to divide length and height on the other side as well. So for this one, we get W equals, and then it's the volume over length times height, and that would be my final answer for this one. You have to be really good with your inverse operations and knowing what the next step is in each of these. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Solving for W again, but it's a different equation this time with perimeter. So again, we want to get W by itself, so that we want to more or less keep where it is, and we want to get rid of everything else that's on that side. There's a couple of ways you could do this. The first one I'm going to do is I want to move this whole piece over to the other side, so I'm going to subtract 2 times the length on both sides. Okay, now these are obviously not like terms, so when I do this, I'm going to get P minus 2L equals 2W. All right, now W is almost by itself. I have just one more thing to get rid of, which is that 2. Now what's happening here is it's 2 times W, so to get rid of that 2, I'm going to divide by 2. Now for this one, I'm dividing by 2. When you divide or multiply, you have to do it to the entire equation. So I'm going to move the 2 over here. So I'm going to divide by 2. Okay, so there's actually 2 acceptable ways you could write this. You could do W equals, and then it would be P minus 2L over 2, and that would be my one way to write the equation. You could also separate your answer like this, P over 2, and then L. In this one, it would technically be a 2 over 2 here, but that would cancel out to 1. All right, so continue to look at these. We're going to do a whole bunch of examples with these this week. But that's the general idea of how to solve literal equations.